Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop. On today's episode, we're going to be throwing a handle on this reconstructed multi-bar chef's knife. We're going to start off with a carbon fiber bolster, titanium spacer, and an Amboina burl handle. It's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us. Let's get to it. So I made a little bit of a big mistake. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but I widened out the slot for this a little bit too much. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a new one. So I was about to go about it the same way that I had done before, which is the kind of ghetto knife maker way, drilling holes and filing it out. And I was like, hey, wait a second, we have a mill. Why don't I just use that? So I'm gonna go ahead and do a tiny bit of carbon fiber milling. I don't have very much mill experience, but I think I'll be able to manage it. Today is quite simply not my day. There it is. There's the bolster. Bolster number 2. Almost completely fit up. Took an angle grinder to it and cut it at the totally wrong angle and completely messed it up. Bolster number 1, also trash. Gonna give it one more shot. I'm gonna do a little bit bigger relief on the backside with a 3/16 inch end mill. And if that doesn't work, then well, we'll switch to something else. So as the saying goes, crack kills, and it is no different with knife making as it is with people. So I am going to give it a shot with a material other than carbon fiber. I'm going to give it a shot with some of this faux ivory. It's the same handle material that we used on the cavalry saber, just because this carbon fiber has been so fussy. Just unbelievably fussy. And, well, kind of done with it at this point. It would have looked nice, but I think that having a light tone will look really, really nice as well. As you guys have seen, it polishes out to a really nice cream color, so I think that this will do very well as the bolster material for this chef's knife. I've finally fit up a bolster that works. Next step is going to be doing the titanium spacer. Look at that, we got ourselves one mildly fit up handle block. We still got some final fitting to do before it'll be just right. I'm gonna bed the tang on this one, and then when I do the final glue up, I'll be able to just score up the tang and scratch up the inside of that epoxy, and we'll still get a nice bond on the inside. So right now what I need to do is just make sure that all of these pieces sit totally flat together. So it's going to be a lot of flattening work using a granite surface plate and some wet and dry sandpaper. All right, we've got ourselves one fit up handle. Have a look at that. It's all fit up. Nice. Now it's time to do our bedded tang. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and coat the actual tang of the knife in the ricasso area in a thin layer of paste wax. And then we're going to go ahead and pour some just kind of 15-minute epoxy in here. This isn't what's actually going to hold the knife together. Just kind of a reference point for the handle fit up to go smoothly from here on out. I don't want these parts to stick together yet, so I'm going to put paste wax between each of these layers, basically on either side of the titanium. After that, I'll be able to heat up the titanium spacer, which will in turn heat up the tang. I'll be able to heat up the ricasso as well. It will pop the whole thing apart, and it'll index perfectly from there on out as I want to take it apart and refit it back together during the final finishing, shaping, and glue up of the handle. The epoxy has cured up. We're now ready to go ahead and do a little bit more handle shaping. I think it looks pretty dang good. Let's go ahead and start cutting in that shape. We're going to start off by cutting in the titanium because it just wants to burn anything around it if you try to grind it. So we're going to have to be really careful working around that spacer while we do the handle work. But I think it's going to be pretty good. We've got ourselves one rough faceted chef's knife handle now. I'm going to go ahead and get to work using files and sandpaper to fine-tune the facets and get them exactly how I want them. I made a little removable saya for it so I can check for straight and stuff like that, just to make sure it's going to be exactly where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the vise and get to work. We've got the handle pretty dang close to where it's going to end up at the final shape. We've got a little bit more work left to do on it, but I'm going to save that for after glue up just because I know that nothing's going to move around at all whatsoever. So I've got it where I need it for now. I'm going to go ahead now and take this tang into the grinding room and cut some notches in it so that the epoxy has something good to seat onto, so that blade's not going to come out, fly off the handle, because we're only going with a chemical bond on this one. I'm not going to do any pins or anything like that. The epoxy is more than strong enough to hold it together for a hard life for 100 years. I'm going to go ahead, cut some notches with a pretty rough belt into this tang, and then give it the old glue up. Look at that, guys. We got ourselves one notched up tang right here. It is now ready to degrease all of these parts. Mix up ourselves some epoxy, just slap it together, all casual like. Just kidding, this is nerve-wracking and painful. Alec, you're ruining my talking segment.
Sorry, I'm just ruining it all casual like, you know what I'm saying?
You know how it goes. Nice and casual ruining the talking segment. No, this is the most nerve-wracking part of the build because basically from here on out we can't go back, and if we do, we lose days and days and days of work.
And you have a deadline, right?
I do have a deadline.
This needs to be done in 24 hours.
Yes, I'm leaving for Atlanta early Thursday morning, and I intend to bring this with me, so this needs to go right the first time. No do-overs right now. So we're gonna very casually be sweating this whole time as we get this glue up done. We're gonna go ahead and get some acetone over all these parts, mix up some West Systems 24-hour epoxy so that it'll have a nice long cure time and a nice good hold, so it'll be ready for me to do the final finish work on it in the morning.
How long you been in the shop, Will?
15 hours. Working on that knife, basically the whole time. So all I need to do now is just figure out how I'm going to transport the blade, find my locking case so that I can ship the knife, pack for the show. It's just
Wait, you're not packed?
not packed yet.
Well,
I'm leaving my house at 5 a.m. So
good luck.
thank you.
Hopefully this wins best chef's knife at Blade.
I would be absolutely ecstatic if it did, but we'll see. There's some really great makers entering, so we'll see. It's done. The chef's knife is done.
Great job, Will. It's been a great pleasure seeing this come together. And an honor having such a nice piece be made in the workshop. And good luck.
Thank
And I'm sure everybody else watching is wishing you good luck, Will. So go kill him.
Well, it's for chopping vegetables, not people, but thank you.